Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Black and White United Show. I'm your host Andreas. Thank you so much for tuning in with me this morning. We are back, we are home, we are ready to go, and I'm ready to bombard your TV screens. I'm so glad to be back. I had an amazing time overseas with the wife, but yeah, super keen to get straight back into the channel and everything Collingwood. Without further ado, this is the preview to our match against West Coast at Marvel Stadium on Saturday. Roll the intro.
0, 1. Let's get started.
So interesting stat with this game, and it's been brought up on a few channels already and also on the radio, and I heard it the other day and I had to look it up to actually believe it. But in the last 10 games, so pretty much since the 2018 Grand Final, I'm sorry I said that, but yes, the 2018 Grand Final, it's 5-5 against West Coast. So I don't think so much now at this point, and probably even going on from last season as well, but I do think that they tend to match up well against us, just like not so much as a bogey side, but just on anyone's given day, they can tend to, pull something out of a hat. Now, I just want to quickly go on that game in 2022 at Marvel Stadium. We're coming off a really disappointing 21 campaign when the off-field, on-field, the club was an absolute rabble. Let's be real about that. We've come in the year after under McRae. We started off not the greatest, but then, obviously we had that really good run in 22, but we had that game against West Coast at Marvel Stadium earlier in the season, and they picked us apart the entire game. There were moments of that game where we looked like, all right, what we're going to do is hit the front, get a couple of goals in front, and we'll run away with it. That never happened in that game. Now, I know that's now going on now 3 years ago or whatever, but obviously the Marvel Stadium factor and everything like that, it always plays a part. Even last week against St Kilda, you had those moments where it's like we just don't play our typical brand of football at Marvel Stadium on a consistent basis. Now, the benefit of this is the teams that we are playing at Marvel Stadium this year are obviously teams that on paper and on form at the moment are lower than us. So we've got that chance to really kickstart any sort of momentum going into that mid to late part of the season now, when we've done the hard yards against most of the better teams in the competition, if not all. So with that being said, you look at last year's game, the last time that we played West Coast, Nick Dacos got 36 disposals. Jack Crisp was on fire. He got 32 disposals. I think Josh Dacos got 28. Nick got 36. Josh got 28. Pendle's got 28 too. I'm pretty sure Bobby Hill kicked 3. Yes, he did. So all up, that was a great performance by the whole team, and we ran away with it. You knew within the first 10 minutes of the game that we played against them last year that we were going to be on here. Joe Richards even had a good game, that game against West Coast as well. With that being said, there's many different personnel ins and outs of both sides, especially for us. And obviously we've got some injured players that aren't playing as well, which I'll touch on a bit later. But all in all, we're going into this game with some pretty decent form, albeit, we didn't play the greatest against Melbourne, but we played pretty good against St Kilda, especially in that second half. So hopefully we can take that into this game against West Coast. So from last year's team, you've got Joe Richards, John Noble, Harvey Harrison, Finn McRae, and Reef McGuinness, who played in that game that obviously aren't playing this game, obviously with the first two being at other sides and injuries and whatnot. We also didn't have Dan McStay playing in that game against West Coast last year. So you're adding in a lot of experience. You've taken out some players, but you've adding in some top-end talent into this team against West Coast now. So you've got Houston, Membry, McStay, Ned Long. Charlie Dean's obviously replacing Frampton, who played that game last year against West Coast. And then you've now got Charlie West making his debut, which, all the hype is there. Now, I will touch on that really quickly. Obviously, last week in the twos, he's kicked the winning goal after the siren. And, he had to get picked this week. With Bo McCreary being out, there's obviously a spot in that forward line. Now you rotate the magnets or whatever, you can put him in. Does he start on the bench? Does he start on the ground? It doesn't really matter. The benefit is that, with no disrespect to West Coast, we're playing against the bottom team in the competition. So if there was a chance for us to actually make do and do this properly, this is probably the game where you can. So he could have already made his debut earlier. I thought St Kilda would have been a good one to choose as well, but now that he didn't play that game, this West Coast game is just going to be fitted for him to make his debut. So, we just need to translate. I'll be honest with you guys, I wasn't happy with the game against Melbourne a couple of weeks ago. We had patches of really good play throughout the game, but then we controlled it right at the end to win it. So we had those moments, but throughout that game, we should have blown them apart. The same with St Kilda in the first half. It got to 53 each, and I thought to myself, I said this in the review of the game as well. I said to myself, it's just this marvel. It doesn't do anything for us. And then we pulled away, and then it's like, hang on a second, we flicked the switch. Not that I was doubting what we were capable of, but I've said it all season. We've been able to manage the challenges that other teams have thrown at us, which has been fantastic. But I just want us to do a full quarter performance. Now, what better way to do it against the bottom side when you've got a pretty healthy list, considering the injuries that we've got, and we've got a chance to go 10 points clear on top of the table with the best percentage in the competition. So if you had told me these players weren't playing, you've got these injuries, but you're sitting here on the ladder at the start of the season, I probably would have laughed at you and said, "Oh, I'd expect us to be top 4." But obviously, it's a lot different now, and we're in a really good position. So I think it's time, and I think a lot of Collingwood supporters can vouch for this as well. We grab West Coast by the scruff of the neck and we suffocate them from the start. And this average performance that we've been having the last 2 weeks throughout the game, yes, albeit we take off, we kill a team really quickly, you want to do it from the start. I know you can't sustain it over the 4 quarters in total, but there's got to be a time where you're going to have to get pretty close to doing it. And if we can do it without our best 23 on the field, albeit against the lower opposition, it's only going to create more pressure for other players to come back into the side when you've technically got, your 31 to 36 listed players now coming into the side and, proving their worth. So this game, the key standout players I want to see is, I want to see Bobby Hill turn it up. We haven't seen him turn it up enough yet this season. We've seen him have moments like, for example, he had no possessions on Anzac Day, all of a sudden gets involved in a chain link play, kicks that mad goal on the boundary line, does whatever. Then throughout this season where he's been a bit quiet, then bang, he has those like those De Goey moments, if that makes sense, where he'll have a moment where he'll do something magical, light it up, and then all of a sudden everyone rallies up and then we ended up smashing a side. I want to see Bobby, even if he kicks 3 goals, I want to see it not just like in a 5-minute play where it's like Bobby Hill, bang, 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 and then you don't see him anymore. I want to see Bobby Hill kick a goal, but then dominate the forward line, set the goals up and stuff like he did against Fremantle. The same thing in the second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, etc. I want to see a bit more of a consistent performance instead of just a 5-10 minute period where he dominates and then you don't see him for the rest of the game. So that's one thing that I want to see from Bobby Hill. The other thing that I want to see is this week, and it's made for him. I want to see Darcy Moore show the competition why he is one of the best defenders in the competition. I want Darcy Moore to show the entire footballing population why he's the captain of Collingwood. I want Darcy Moore to dominate, intercept, mark, spoil the pack, be the Nathan Murphy that was, be the how Billy Frampton's playing, be the Darcy Cameron when he goes back and does the intercept mark, be the Jeremy Howe crashing the packs and punching it. Geez, take a specky for God's sake. I want to see Darcy Moore bully a bottom team. I want to see Darcy Moore be the quarterback. I want to see him dominate in this game. So they're the 2 players that I really think can stand out and can win us the game. I also think Myercheck is ready for 4 goals. I don't see him kicking 4 in the first quarter, 4 in the last quarter, a bit more of a spread out performance. So I hope he does that as well. The other thing too is I want to see a young player like Ned Long do the same thing that I said about Darcy Moore, really bully a side on the field and take advantage of the fact of the position that we are and the position they're in, and go out there and actually have some fun and, see what we're capable of against the bottom team in the competition. So obviously the players that we need to watch out for West Coast. I mean, Tom McCarthy played his first game the other week. He got 31 disposals. That is pretty awesome to get picked up mid-season draft and then go out there and do what he did for West Coast the other week. They had their bye last week, but to do what he did, which is great. But is that sustainable? Can he do it against the top side in the competition? Who knows? But knowing that's the current form he's in, he is definitely a player to watch. Obviously, you're going to watch Harley Reid regardless of what happens, so you're going to have to watch him because he's going to have his moments as well. And then obviously Jack Graham and Liam Baker, the Richmond old heads, they're good players regardless of the team that they play in. They're experienced players. They're going to be able to control the tempo of the game regardless of anything. So we need to make sure that we can capitalise on any errors that they make, especially pushing forward, so then we can just get them over the top there. And I think that's where they're going to control the game really well as the ball's being pushed forward into their forward line. So if we can counteract that and eliminate them out of the play, those two experienced players, we're leaving West Coast really, really vulnerable there. The other one to watch, there's not a lot, but it's probably just Jack Graham and Liam Baker. Their CV is fairly strong. Is Nick Dacos going to get tagged? We'll get to that in a second. My predictions for this game, Collingwood should win 58 points. I'm still not buying into the hype of us beating a side by 100 plus points. I hope it's like the Port Adelaide game in round 1 or whatever it was. I really hope it is like that, but I don't think it's going to be. I think it's a 58-point win to Collingwood. Checkers to boot 4. Josh Dacos, 36 touches. I reckon this game he's just going to run riot. I think he's going to be way more damaging than Nick. Personal opinion. Having said that, I won't be surprised if Nick pushes 40 touches. But I think it's going to be Josh Dacos, best on ground, 36 touches. Nick Dacos, is he going to get tagged? 100%. And the player that's going to tag him is going to be Brody Hugh, I think his name is. He missed out on the game against Carlton through illness, but he's going to come back in, and I think he gets the tagging job on Nick Dacos for this game. Other than that, there's no reason why we just don't go out there, put the foot down, and do what we've got to do. I'm jet lagged, so I'm sorry if this is a bit more of a mellow sort of video, but I'm just so glad to be back. Let's just go to Marvel. Let's get the 4 points. Let's go 10 points clear on top of the ladder with a really, really healthy percentage. Obviously, I'm pretty sure we've got Carlton the week after. We saw what happened to Carlton last night. But let's just get through West Coast first. Just remember, we've still got De Goey, Bruzzy, Schultz, Frampton, McCreary, and Tom Mitchell, who are going to be knocking down the doors so bad from now and within the next month to get back into this side. So players like Sullivan, Ed Allen, Charlie West, Charlie Dean, these guys are going to have to perform something vicious to keep their spot. Not all of them will, but this is what makes a premiership outfit. And this is what, even Mason Cox, if he continues forming the VFL, the second one bigger player goes down, he's straight back in filling that structured role. So, and we all know how important I think Cox is to the dynamic of our team and what he allows Darcy Cameron to do. With that being said, good luck to Charlie West on his debut. Good luck to Charlie Dean playing his first game for 2025. Make sure you drop a comment. Make sure you tell me what you think. Call it as you see it. And as always, geez, it's good to be back. Go the Pies.